Ezri meim Adonai, Osei shamayim va'aretz. Ezri meim Adonai, Osei shamayim va'aretz. Esainai elei arim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. 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 Yedid nefesh Avarachaman, Avarachaman. Keshul Chavdecha, Eretz Onecha, Eretz Onecha. Yedid nefesh Avarachaman, Avarachaman. Keshul Chavdecha, Eretz Onecha, Eretz Onecha. Yarusavdecha, Kemoya, Shtapare, El Muhadarecha. Yedid nefesh, Avarachaman, Avarachaman. Meshovavdecha, Eretz Onecha, Eretz Onecha. Yarusavdecha, Kemoya, Shtapare, El Muhadarecha. Yedid nefesh, Avarachaman, Avarachaman. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberry, I'll drink your sweet wine. Then tomorrow shall pass away, ere I forget all the joys that are mine. Today, I'll be a dandy and I'll be a rover. You'll know that I'm by the songs that I sing. I'll feast at your tables, I'll sleep in your clover. Who cares what tomorrow may bring? Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberry, I'll drink your sweet wine. Then tomorrow shall all pass away, ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. Can't be contented with yesterday's glory. I can't live on promises with earth. Today is my moment, and now is my story. I'll laugh and I'll cry and I'll sing. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine, I'll taste your strawberries, I'll drink your sweet wine. A million tomorrows shall all pass away, ere I forget all the joys that are mine today. Hello, Phyllis. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. It's joyful to see you. I broke my pick. I'm getting another pick, and I'm going to put this tape on it so that it's easy to hold, because that's better. How was your week? My week was pretty darn good. I could really feel fall, although now it's hot. We're having that kind of weird Indian summer that we always have around my birthday, which is at the end of the month, October 30th. And we always have that kind of Indian summer, that hot and a hot spell. And then it gets cool, and then it gets beautiful. So tonight I just want to talk about the joy and the happiness and the spirit and the love that we can experience on Shabbat, and how different ways that we can do that, and ways that I've learned myself, and ways that I've learned through working with my students. So, Shabbat Shalom, we're going to start with the candles, and please join me. Letting a few people know. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Bamir Bamaro Adonai So when we light the Shabbat candles, there's something that we're opening up. there's something that we're looking forward to, and that is a little bit of a time of peace, a little break or recess from the mundane, and moving into the holy, the spiritual. When I say that, it doesn't have to connect to a being or an idea or an ideal or an ideology. It just has to connect to a little bit of truth. And there's always all this fuss about whether anything is really true or not. Is all truth subjective? And I'm going to contend and prove that all truth is not subjective. There is truth that is objective. And I'll name you an easy one to start off with: gravity. Unless you have some kind of mechanism to hold you up, you will succumb to gravity. You will come back down. No one has ever jumped up and not come back down that I know of. That would be a pretty amazing feat. I did see a guy do it with a jetpack today, but that doesn't count because that's heroic measures. I'm talking about just, what happens when jump. So gravity is true. Why is it so important that gravity is true? Because gravity offers us a great amount of comfort, and I'll tell you how. So what I'd like to do is lead a little exercise for those of you that are here. I'd like you to close your eyes and put your feet flat on the ground. Flat on the ground. And close your eyes and take a deep breath. And feel your feet and feel the heaviness of your feet. And feel your feet on whatever the ground is. Mine's on carpet, on a lay down carpet. And visualize and feel the softness of that carpet. Now go through that carpet to the wooden floor or the concrete floor. And as you're doing that, breathe consistently and feel your feet and your whole being getting heavier and heavier and sinking in. And now we feel under the concrete, we feel the dirt. And under the dirt, we feel rock. And under the rock, we feel more dirt. And under that dirt, we feel more rock. And then we see a river flowing through, subterranean river. Now go back to your feet and just feel the heaviness of your feet. And the truth of the gravity that holds them. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom. And feel the force and the heaviness of gravity as it holds you and connects you to the earth. Adamah, the earth. Eretz, the land. And feel the safety and the warmth, the tranquility of the reality of being here. And if it helps you to lay down to do this exercise, that's fine. Or if it helps you to stand up and do this exercise, whatever works, to feel and appreciate the gravity of the earth. And as we sit here in this Kabbalat Shabbat, in what must be coming up to a year and a half Kabbalat Shabbat that I've been doing as a ritual online, no matter who comes. Often I don't know who's here, but if you identify yourself in the messages, then I know you're here. And I'm able to just share it, even if with a few people or a lot of people, to share the beauty of non-attachment, the beauty of connection with the moment, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. And there's a great Buddhist saying that I love that basically says, when you walk, walk. And when you run, run. And when you sit, sit. When you talk, talk. When you laugh, laugh. When you cry, cry. When you sing, sing. And when you sleep, sleep. And I notice that for myself, I'm always trying to do more than one thing at once, all week long. And it often ends up with me doing nothing. So multitasking, I think, in terms of effectiveness, productiveness, and real forward movement is not really true. When you say I'm multitasking, you're either doing one thing or another thing. You might be doing two things poorly, but rarely are we doing two things really, really well at the same time. So the old adage of be here now is a good one. Together we will walk in the path of Hashem. Lisa goy el goy you might do on now come on. Lisa goy el goy you might do on now come on. Oh, Lisa goy el goy oh, you might do on now come on. Oh, Lisa goy el goy oh, you might do on now come on. A little bit of folk music. Slow down, you're moving too fast. Got to make the morning last us. Kicking down the cobblestone. Looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. don't eat the tuna, promises keep undappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning fall drop on the petals on me. Like I love you all in me. Da da da, da 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 da. So, last night in one of my classes, we talked about relationships and what are sort of the foundational needs in a relationship. If you had to spend a long, long time on an island with one person, who would that person be? And what attributes and what behaviors and skills and sentiments and character would you want that person to embody? So a lot of people were saying, or actually I started by saying, mainly in addition to it being a kind person and a happy person and a generous person and an interesting person, that when I turned to myself, that I would feel comfortable with them. And then we got into a big debate, this is 11th and 12th graders, about what comfortable means. And we came up with a reminder that to be uncomfortable is not always necessarily bad. As a matter of fact, generally we don't change unless we're uncomfortable. And so to be uncomfortable is not necessarily to say, like, I want someone that always makes me comfortable, is not necessarily agreed upon by a lot of people. So what we came to is it was not about feeling comfortable, but it was more about not feeling awkward. And awkward often means you can't be yourself. You just can't be yourself. And it's really, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you feel kind of trapped because you can't be yourself. Because if you're yourself, you're going to upset or piss off or alienate the person you're with. And you know they don't agree with you on a bunch of stuff. And it's just really, really, really hard to be yourself. So it's not so much being comfortable. It is not feeling awkward. And there's so many ways that we can feel awkward. We can feel awkward in a physical way. We can feel awkward in an emotional or a mental way. We can feel awkward in a psychic way. But just to be able to feel totally comfortable. So what I came up with in my afterthought, which I often do after these lessons, is it starts with being comfortable with yourself. If you're comfortable with yourself and who you are, then you can adapt to the surroundings and adapt to the various people that you are in relationship with. And there are many kinds of relationships. Some relationships are forced because they're family relationships, or they're friends of family, or friends, or workers, people that we work with. But chosen relationships are valuable because we choose people basically considering their closeness to our being ourselves, so that we don't have to adapt our behavior or change our behavior just because we're with someone who makes us feel like we can't be ourselves. So does that make sense? I think it was a good discussion. Yeah, relationship. And we thrive on relationships. And when we don't have relationship, we suffer. So Shabbat is a time to pick up on the relationships that you haven't been paying attention to. And I think to call that person that you've been meaning to call, or to write that person that you've been meaning to write. People still love to get letters. You ever get letters anymore? Wouldn't that be great if we all started writing each other letters? It's so tedious, and personally, my handwriting is hard to read. But I love getting letters. I've always loved getting letters, albeit not from governmental agencies or adversaries, but letters, friendly letters, telling you what's new. We talk every 5 minutes with everybody. There can't be anything new. So this Shabbat, I'm gonna write a letter. I'd like to bless the fruit of the vine, as we do every week, in this beautiful Kiddush cup that comes along with me. Join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu. Shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. So I do believe, I'm going to look up right now to make sure about what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to say it. I believe this week is the celebration of the anniversary of my bar mitzvah by way of the parsha that I believe, yes, I am right, I am correct, Bereshit. To show you how powerful that was 53 years ago, I still remember the introduction to my parsha. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'ha'aretz, ve'ha'aretz hayta tovu v'vohu ve'choshek al pnei. Then I got to read from there. So I want to say a little bit about creation and the beginning, if there is such a thing, and postulate a little bit on that. And by the way, hello, Mom, welcome. It starts in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. What is the beginning? One story of the beginning is that the beginning is when God stopped being everything. Because when God was everything, there couldn't be anything else. And perhaps God needed company. And so God realized that God needed to contract. This is the concept of tzimtzum, to contract and become smaller to make space for others, which is an interesting commentary on the prevalence of narcissism in our modern day society. But God had to make place for other things and beings, as we really should focus on in conversation and sharing in everyday life. So in the beginning could mean when God contracted. And then God goes on to say, the Torah goes on to say the various things that were created. And so if there was a beginning, a great question is what came before the beginning? And if your answer is nothing, which is to say God is nothing, and actually there is a mystical term for God, in so that God is everything and nothing at the same time, but something had to come before. So even if someone postulates that the whole story of creation is ridiculous. It doesn't coincide with science. It doesn't coincide with anything we talked about. One could say that the Big Bang Theory, and go on to explain the Big Bang Theory and share it with us in detail, in scientific detail. And at the end, I would ask, well, what came before the Big Bang? Nothing. What is nothing? The minute you call something nothing, you make it something. The minute that you say something doesn't exist, it automatically exists. So I want to present that creation didn't happen. It is happening. And it's been happening for eternity, and it will continue happening. Creation happens every time we light a flame, every time we plant a seed and grow something that we eat, every time that, of course, we form a union and we have a child. All the things that we build and all the things that we create, all the vaccination was an amazing creation. So perhaps we don't talk about creation in the past tense, or like saying like, well, creation happened and now it's done, because then we get all the arguments. But to say that we are in a constant state of creation. It's manifested through learning, through teaching, through growing, through making mistakes, through having achievements, through having successes, through having failures, through love, and through procreation, and through commitment, and through making the world a better place. And so tikkun olam, correcting what is needing correcting in the world, is a great concept that would bring us all together in a joyful way so that we can move the world forward. So I'm feeling particularly optimistic on this day, and proud to be a human, proud to be a Jew, proud to be an American, proud to be a man, proud to be a dad, proud to be a grandfather, proud to be a husband, proud to be a son, proud to be proud to be a friend. And going back to relationship starts with ourselves. So a student brilliantly asked me one time when I was talking about this, well, what's the difference between loving yourself and being a narcissist? And that is a great distinction. You can love yourself in humility. I love myself in humility and in earnest, but not being in love with myself, not in the midst of arrogance and vanity and self-fulfilling, but rather to love. And so there are examples of creation all over. There are examples or evidence. There's evidence of God all over. And each and every person can call it what they want. And I have no particular need to enforce or insist that anybody call it anything. Call it love. Call it human kindness. Call it loving care. Whatever it is, we want to spread that over. Let me be a little kinder. Let me be a little blinder to the faults of those around me. Let me praise a little more. Let me be, when I am weary, just a little bit more cheery. A little more of others, and a little less of me. Let me be a little meeker with your brother that is weaker. Try a little harder to be all that I should be. Let me be, when I am weary, just a little bit more truth, a little more of others, and a little less of me, a little less of me, a little less of me. And I know often on Shabbat we take a moment to think about people who are sick, and we wish them, Amisha Barak, we wish them complete refuah shlema, complete healing. And for people who have lost someone, we wish for them compassion, and for us to see and understand the pain that they feel in the loss. And this time, I want to move to the people who are so good to us now, and that we make sure to acknowledge them. So here's an extra credit assignment. You ready? Things that you can do to spread the love. If you have a mentor, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a teacher, someone in your life who is still living, who made a difference for you, contact them, write them, or contact them, or call them and say, hey, this is me, do you remember me? And give them an incident that would help them remember you, and let them know how much they meant to you. And if you can't do that, and the people that mentored you and people that were so important to you are not living on the planet anymore, then say it anyway. Say it into the air and see where it goes. Express and share love and appreciation with your family members, with your children, with your friends, with your current employers and workers, with everybody who helps you in your business. It's so nice to just tell someone how much you appreciate what they do for you and what they bring to you, or just thanking someone for their friendship. Because, gratitude is useless. Gratitude is like a candle that's not lit. And the way you light the candle of gratitude is by lighting the wick. And the way you light the wick is by expressing it. So gratitude, to feel gratitude, is a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling, but it doesn't do anything for what you're grateful for. So name it. These are all things I try to do. And finally, go apologize to someone and go forgive someone. And let people know it's okay. I do a lot of coaching and helping young people who are challenged, and they always want to know what can they do to thank me. And what I tell them is to pay it forward, which is to say, sometime in your life, find some young person who needs help, who needs support, who needs love and care and unconditional acceptance, unconditional love. Be that for them. And maybe you choose to be that in your life every day. If you don't, try it out, because it feels really good. That's the thing about gratitude. When you express it, it rekindles your flame of strength and joy and happiness. Let's do a Shema to celebrate the oneness. The Shema, listen. We don't know what it is. We don't know what we are, or sometimes who we are. We don't know who God is, but we know that it has a lot to do with the number one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vay. So my breathing is slowed down and my heartbeat is a little bit more mellow. And I'm just enjoying the ritual of transition. And I'm going to transition into a space where I do something I love. That has some creativity, but not necessarily purpose. Don't know what that will be. But this is the day. And if you've ever wanted to have a day of rest, it's looking you in the face. And you can get everything else done on Sunday. That's what they do in Israel. I want to wish Shabbat Shalom to all my friends and all my relatives and all my loved ones, especially my mom and Phyllis, who I can see in the chat box. And I want to remind you that it's important to default to nice. One of my sayings, default to nice. And spread the love. And with the Shekianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehekianu kiyimanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. Bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam. Bim bam bim 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 bam bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat